Let's talk about what musicians can post about when they haven't got anything to post about. Most artists that I work with, they find that one of the most challenging obstacles to get across. Because if they're not marketing music, they're like, I don't want to share too much of what's going on in my life. I'm a private person, I'm an introverted person, and I totally agree with that. But what you can do is plant the seeds that you're working before people realize that it's actually a campaign that you're about to bring out. And I'm going to explain how all of this works. So let's dive back into this list. What do I personally do to make sure that I never run out of content in the week? I kind of plan ahead on a Sunday what I'm doing throughout the week. So one day I might be in the city with some friends. One day I might be going to the studio to make some music. One day I might be going to dinner and I'm gonna wear a really nice outfit. And one day I'll just be having a content creation day. So that's four or five different milestones in my mind. And I'll basically pivot the Moscow rule, and I'll write this down on a bit of paper. Moscow stands for must, should, could, and would. All right? Moscow, MSCW, must, should, could, would. So what is the one feed picture you must capture when you're in those different situations? Now, I flopped on this week. I had a really good rapper friend of mine stay the night, and we didn't take one single picture together. The one must create piece of content was probably a photo of him and I together, but we didn't do that. What we should have done was created some Instagram stories, sitting here, working on his social media strategy, and just having some amazing conversations at the dinner table with my wife. We could have created a podcast together where we just sat with the mic on and with the camera rolling, captivating that entire conversation, because it was so life-changing, deep, and thought-provoking. And if we had thought about it, what we would have done is actually made a full documentary of showing like him taking off from the airport, him landing, us meeting at the airport, filming on 2 different cameras, and then piecing it all together for like an after movie. So you see how this rule eventually pieces itself together, like must, should, could, and would. And I want you to do the same for your week. So when you think about going to a location, like maybe it's the studio, if you're with another artist for a session, what is the one piece of feed content you must capture that day? Next is the Instagram stories that you should create, opening the door of the studio, floating over the mixing boards, having a hug when the artist walks in for the first time. What is the content that you should create if you were on your best behavior? Should can also refer to like the documentation that you can do to give context to your audience about where you are and what you're doing. Sometimes that's just like talking to the camera and say, hey, just arrived at this venue, we're about to do this and that, and I can't wait to show you more. So this brings the audience on the journey with you. Next up is would. So if you planned it properly, what would you create about this whole experience? So what would you have done if you planned it properly? Would you have taken some lights down to the studio? Would you have taken a nice DSLR camera? Would you have set up a professional microphone and almost made a piece of content out of the making of your studio session, your album, your EP, your single? Could you have made some content out of it? And what would you do if you had no restrictions on budget or resources? Could you bring in a videographer friend, or could you bring in a crew to strap you up with mics for the entire session and have a really thought-provoking documentary made out of this piece of content? And that could be interviewing different people, that could be like showing the B-roll from all these random moments that were so organic and you could never plan to capture them, but they happened. And you put them all into an after movie, a piece of content that you give to the fans. So this is the rule, must, should, could, would, but it's ultimately down to you. What are you going to create around your music content? When you're putting out a body of work, how are you going to push yourself creatively and make an amazing experience for the fans? Because what most artists do is they just drop the music and say, go listen to it. They drop the video and say, go listen to it. And that's not content, that's marketing. That's telling people where to go and what to do, instead of giving them a reason why they should go and do it. If this has helped you at all, I want you to send it to a musician friend who needs to hear this, because I want this Moscow rule, must, should, could, would, to impact as many people as possible. And if you find it useful, just give me a little like on this video, a thumbs up and a comment, so I can know that it served you some value. And that's all I ask. I don't want to push you to follow me on any other channel, but if you do, my name is Social Media Ayaz across Twitter, Instagram, and all other online places. And I would love to stay connected with as many musicians as possible, all right? So thanks so much, and I hope you've enjoyed this little rule that I choose to follow every single day.